Sometimes I love me some good old gimmick characters. You know, characters that need some sort of cheese strat to win. It's fun, but this is not the case in Brawlhalla. Brawlhalla is a game where there are no true projectiles. Thus, the game encourages engaging and fast-paced matches, right? Right? Well, not really. In Brawlhalla, the word projectile is pretty vague. By definition, a projectile, commonly known as many things in different fighting games, from fireballs, grenades, or even bullets, is a form of attack, this one being generally mid to full screen. Hadoukens from the Street Fighter series, beam assist, or and any key blast from Dragon Ball Fighters, Deadshot in Injustice, and well, Snake in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But what about Brawlhalla? Brawlhalla has what? Brawlhalla has cannonballs. Okay, alright. Let's get to the point. In Brawlhalla, the word projectile and sonar characters are uncommon. The game follows a strict line of creation, design, weapons, sigs, and last but not least, balance. Currently, there's two things in Brawlhalla that fall under the category of projectiles without changing the game's line of creation. The first one being, weapon throws, and the second one being gadgets. Though I am not gonna cover those since they are mostly used for casual play when it comes to gadgets, of course. I already covered weapon throws in my previous video, and almost everything I said in that video falls under the category of, projectiles, neutral, stage control, etc. But that's it? This video's over? Well, not really. As you can see there in the YouTube bar, there's still quite a bit to talk about. Let's dive onto something that isn't weapon throws for once. Let's dive onto the characters themselves, many of which have different weapons and sigs that, maybe we can find something there. Let's start with weapons. First, let's take out any close range weapons. With that said, we only have about 3 options: blasters, bow, and orb. On blasters, we're literally shooting what it looks to be some sort of bullet. I mean, they're quite big for a normal bullet. Some people will think they're just, shotgun shots, perhaps. Remember what I said earlier? This one being generally mid to full screen. Well, with blasters, we only cover about a quarter, maybe less. And to top it all off, blasters still have some moves that require you to be close range in order to hit them. So let's move on to the next weapon. On bow, we're shooting some sort of energy bolt. It doesn't look like an arrow to me, but who am I to judge? The bow kid has some moves to cover about, half the stage in some cases. And it's probably the best candidate to be considered a projectile-based weapon. But just like blasters, bow still needs to get up in close range to hit most of its kill moves. But it's not like bow can just stay at the edge of the map and, spam moves to deal damage and sometimes kills, like in other games. So let's leave bow as a hybrid of projectile and close range weapon. Last but not least, on orb, we have about the same blaster's threat range, but we're not shooting anything. In fact, it looks more like a boomerang, unlike blasters or bow, where moves literally disappear after being thrown. The orb literally comes back to you, as I said, just like a boomerang. So technically, no, they are not projectile-based weapons. But what about their sigs? Let's take Yumiko's bow down sig, Thatch's blaster down sig, and Sidra's cannon end sig. Which one is a projectile? If you said all of them, you're wrong. The truth is that Thatch's blaster down sig is the only true projectile in the game. Why, you might ask? Well, going back to the definition of projectiles, these also have another characteristic, and that is that they do not disappear unless they hit their range limit or the opponent. So even if you hit the player that's throwing the projectiles while while they're throwing them, they are not disappearing. And going back to Brawlhalla, if you hit Yumiko while the downsig orbs are on screen, the orbs lose their hitboxes and disappear quicker. Same happens with Citra's cannon and sig, but Thatch's cannonballs don't disappear after you hit them. And there it is, we found it, a true projectile in Brawlhalla. But what about the other sigs? You know, those sigs that cover half the screen. If they're not a projectile and you can't use them as such, what are they used for? I'll tell you. Most of these sigs are used as finishing blows. Your Ember Bow and sig, Cross's Hand of God, Zero's Shadow Clone, hell, even all of Koji's bow sigs. All of those are used as finishing blows, just like your normal close range sigs. But some of them can also be used as spacing and zoning tools. Picture this. Have you ever fought your classic Sidra main that goes off stage and GC N6 with cannon? Have you ever wondered how to approach a Yumiko main when they stay in one corner of the map just downsigging with both weapons? It's all for one reason. So you give up to the stress and they get some cheap damage by staying in a safe place. You can't really commit to approach these type of sigs because if you get hit, in Sidra's case, you get launched pretty far depending on your damage, and in Yumiko's case, you get set up on a perfect spot for them to full combo you with either weapon. They have it easy and you have it hard to approach. However, there is a counterplay to this. It depends on every player, but the main idea is the same. So let's break it down. In Sidra's case, you can either not approach at all, since they're most likely gonna N-sig from far away, and immediately do an attack afterwards. So when they do that last attack, you can go on with a weapon throw or just space the move. Or, if you're more confident enough, you can keep pressure on them by throwing your weapon early or by dash dancing really close to them, really messing up their timing. And in Yumiko's case, way easier, you can just dash and throw your weapon, completely denying her 6 hitbox and damage. But if you want to get more smart about it, you can break down your approaches based on her weapons. For bow, you can try to approach her straight forward, or more safely, you can approach mid-air. For hammer, you can dash directly at her once the orbs are fully on the air, since that sig doesn't really hit grounded, it only does on the beginning of it. But are Sidra and Yumiko the only characters that can zone you out? No, of course not. Some weapons by themselves can also play around the zoning style. Blasters, bow, spear, sword, orb and hammer have the most safe tools in order to control the stage, break neutral, and condition their opponents with bait moves. We can separate them from grounded to aerials. Hammer controls the ground with side lights and D-lights. In a whiff, neutral light comes out really fast to try and obstruct any punishing options. Orb can safely jump and dare to control the neutral and even approach. And just like Hammer, on whiff, neutral light comes out really fast to try and obstruct any punishing options. Sword has neutral light multi-tool that deals damage, punishes any sword whiff, zones out any close range approach, and hell, even kills. Spear only has neutral light to play the poking game, keeping the opponent at bay while dealing some cheap damage, and Ser threatens any approaches with a hard hitting move. Same as Sword, Bow has neutral light as a multi-tool to space out any aerial approaches, can be used as a get off me move, and kill, and also Bow has side light and D light, which both are mostly combined with a backdash to mainly punish any whiff that both has, hence why you see a lot of bow players be called backdash warriors. Blasters is probably the most complex of them all, in my opinion, since the only move that comes out relatively fast and can be called safe is Sidelight, due to its range and starting frames. It serves as a poking option as a zoning tool to bait out approaches, combo tool, but it does not kill. Neutral Light catches most of the close range weapon approaches. Sets off for combos, has a decent amount of active frames that can catch most people off guard, but it doesn't have the best recovery frames, and it's close range unlike Sidelight. Nair serves as a juggling tool, zoning tool, and as a combo starter, but does not catch any landings that are close to the ground, only soft platforms. There covers any overextensions from other weapons, and also covers any grounded approach. But due to its recovery frames, if you miss a dare, you're likely gonna get punished. Knowing when to throw out a dare can be the difference between a stock or even a game. Seer also covers any overextensions from other weapons, but its purpose changes depending on the opponent's health. At white, Seer leads up into very tight strings with either Sidelight, Neutral Light, and D-Light, and at red, it catches any peek from below the edge and only leads up into a kill. Now, if you excuse me, I'm off to play Diana in ranked, so I can, get that easy 2300, then post it on Twitter, then afterwards I can say that I should be signed to an orb because I'm technically playing the hardest legend in the game. See, yeah. I need some friends, man. I need to get off this fucking game. Goodbye.